Hey everybody, welcome to Breakfast All Day. Matt, Christy, Alonso, we are all remotely here this week, still in our social distance isolation, but bringing you a program nonetheless. And as we have in the last few weeks, we're going to kick off with kind of this week in coronavirus and how it's been affecting the industry and you know, it's the various facets that's been making a dent into the culture. Christy?
It's been a very eventful week in all the worst possible ways. Adam Schlesinger died, lead singer and guitarist for Fountains of Wayne, also did so much great movie music, including his Oscar-nominated title song for That Thing You Do, which you guys just heard if you're listening to the podcast, and also some songs from music and lyrics. He was what?
Pussycats.
Yes, Josie the Pussycats. He's 52 years old.
6 months younger than me. It's depressing. And he also did collaborated on the acclaimed Crazy Ex-Girlfriend score as well.
He's enormously talented, great songwriter, great ear for catchy pop hooks. It's a huge loss. Joe Diffie died, if you know who that is.
Yep.
Longtime country singer-songwriter whose hits include John Deere Green and Pickup Man. If you listen to or watch CMT in the early 90s, like I did, you know Joe Diffie. He had a sweet mullet. John Prine is still hanging in there.
Yes.
And he was diagnosed a while ago. We have some good news.
Ellis Marsalis also I wanted to throw in real quick.
But is that from coronavirus?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
okay.
Complications from coronavirus.
Chris Cuomo has it. Brooke Baldwin has it. Joe Exotic does not have it.
Joe Exotic, he was under quarantine, yes.
He has been moved to isolation because other people in prison have it, and they want to keep Joe Exotic safe. Hashtag protect Joe Exotic. A lot of sad news, like Wimbledon's been canceled for the first time ever, or since World War II.
Frameline, the San Francisco Gay and Lesbian Film Festival, is postponed from their usual June date to November.
I do want to say, even though it's been canceled, I think this happened just this week, and so we didn't talk about it last week. Although the Summer Olympics in Japan have been pushed back to 2021, George Takei had announced that he will be the final person in line at the Olympics with the torch. So he'll be lighting the big torch at the Olympics, which is great. I only hope as he does it, we hear an, "Oh my."
What else? Toronto, the entire city of Toronto is shut down for public events till June 30th. Dallas is now shut down till like May 20th, I want to say.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. But then there's some good stuff too, like Kino Marquee, which was that cool way that you could watch Bacurau, which we talked about, is now expanding to 150 theaters, including the Alamo and Laemmle chains.
Magnolia is doing that for several of their titles, including The Whistlers, which did we review that on the show, didn't we?
I don't think we did.
Oh, okay, Dave and I did.
We can.
Romanian New Wave movie. It's really good. Check it out.
HBO is making 500 hours of programming free. You guys hear about this?
Yes.
Good. So, now I can finally watch The Wire.
And that's exactly the thing. It's like all these shows that your friends have always told you, oh, you got to watch The Wire. Yeah. Oh, you got to watch
Sopranos, Veep.
Right. I know. Everyone who's watching is like, you haven't watched The Wire?
I know. Well, maybe we can play catch up with those. So The Wire, Veep, Succession, Sopranos, Silicon Valley, like all those shows, plus a really random cross-section of movies are now available through the apps and websites for HBO Go and HBO Now.
Yep.
So that is good. AFI has launched a thing called AFI Movie Club, where they pick a movie every day. And like they began with Spielberg chose The Wizard of Oz.
I think today was De Niro doing Strangelove.
Right. And like Helen Mirren and Taylor Hackford picked Some Like It Hot. And so they point you to the places where you can stream that. But then they have a lot of really cool interactive content on the AFI website as well. So
speaking of De Niro, I just got an announcement today. You guys might have seen this, that for the 40th anniversary of Raging Bull, Criterion is going to be streaming that next week.
Oh, really?
Good.
Yeah. That one's coming out. And Disney also just announced that they're going to, instead of putting it in theaters, they're going to be streaming Artemis Fowl.
Yeah, on Disney
directly
Plus.
to Disney Plus.
Disney has reshuffled a whole bunch of their stuff, and I think some of their new dates are kind of optimistic.
Yeah, well, they put Black Widow in the Eternals slot in the fall, and now like all the Marvel movies are getting pushed back one because of that domino effect. But talking about free stuff streaming, Amazon is offering a lot of the South by Southwest titles, and you don't even have to be an Amazon Prime member. This is going to be free for everybody.
That's coming in like late April, I want to say. They've not set a date for that, have they?
In the next couple of weeks. I don't know if they've nailed it down. Focus is about to start doing a thing where they're doing free Monday night screenings, and they're going to have Q&As from filmmakers, and people will be able to submit questions for those filmmakers on like the week leading up to it. So like everything from Wes Anderson doing for Moonrise Kingdom, Kevin Smith doing Mallrats. I think My Summer of Love is one of them. So like it's a cool lineup of things. There's a site called The Film Detective. I think they're at thefilmdetective.tv. They are doing free streaming of, they have a ton of vintage like Abbott and Costello, Three Stooges, Harold Lloyd, Buster Keaton titles. So they've got a lot of comedy, old 30s, 40s, even 20s, I think, comedy streaming there.
That's really cool. Yeah, and the thing with the Focus series, like, so Kevin Smith's going to do like a live watch along with Mallrats because of course he is, because he's Kevin Smith. So he does that kind of thing. Yeah. So there's some really cool stuff, and then there is also I was going to mention though, Mulan supposedly is coming out on July 24th. Like, I don't see that happening.
That does seem optimistic.
That seems really early. Anyway.
That'll be. Yeah.
And then Disney wants to put out Jungle Cruise the next week on July 30th. Like, I just don't see any of that happening yet.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what I would really like to know, and I don't know if we'll ever get the real answer on this, is why Universal decided to stream Trolls World Tour rather than push the date back. Is it because of all the promotional tie-ins that are like were already happening? Like, already on the show?
I think the difference with something like Trolls is that you've got the baked-in audience for the kids. So I think that's a gimme. I have to imagine that as a distributor sitting on the other side at Universal thinking, okay, what am I going to – I mean, first of all, they're experimenting. They've got a lot of movies that they are streaming early, right? I mean, one of the movies we're going to talk about, Focus, which is a subsidiary of Universal, rarely, sometimes always, is it. It's shocking that it's streaming already because it was supposed to be in theaters.
And it was for about but it opened right when everything hit the fan, so it had a really terrible opening because so many people were already staying home. Right.
So Trolls World Tour is a movie that gives them the opportunity to stream something that there will absolutely be a kids audience for. And I think that movie's going to perform really well. And I actually think that that'll be one of the ones that gives them a lot of leverage changing the release model.
No, I worry about that, but you're right. That's probably exactly the strategy they have.
I got to tell you, like I've talked, I mean, this will sound like, I've talked to some of the best people. I've talked to, having talked to a couple people in the distribution area, a lot of them are really worried, or like on the exhibitor side, a lot of them are really worried about the mom and pop theaters.
Well,
right? I mean, as we are.
Even the big chains, Standard & Poor's today downgraded AMC's value, basically saying they think it's unlikely they're going to bounce back when this ends because they already went into the year with so much debt, and they're going to miss out on pretty much the summer movie season, it looks like, because unlike Disney, you have people like Sony completely clearing the decks. Like Top Gun 2, Ghostbusters, all the stuff they had lined up, it's either going to be end of this year or 2021 now.
And AMC is the biggest chain in the country.
Yes, it is.
Right.
So if they can't survive.
Yeah, and it's interesting because part of it is like the ones that are partnering with, say, like Kino are the ones that might manage to weather it, right? Because, for us, for instance, there's a loyalty to someplace like the New Art or even the ArcLight for a lot of us, right?
Sure,
like
the Alamo.
We are invested in certain theatrical experiences that I don't see that AMC has really garnered with an audience. At least it doesn't seem that way. So I think they're going to have a harder time, but I hope some of these, similar to what we hear about local restaurants, there's pushes for local restaurants here in LA and probably across the country, but also probably with theaters, like buy the gift cards, buy the gift certificates, because that ends up being money that those folks can use immediately and go towards things. Right. We hope that can go back, because one of the things I've noticed in the last week or so in watching things, and I'm sure everybody at home is going through this, the more, call it, exciting watching experience so far at home is that the rest of my family is watching Tiger King with me. And that, as we go through those episodes, my wife and I keep doing like we keep looking at each other, right? Because it's so much of this like, holy shit, what the hell? And it's not that the other movies that I've seen this week aren't compelling, but there's a difference in that shared experience, right? That's the whole point of going to see something in the theater. Like there's some good movies we've seen this week that we're going to talk about, but I'm sure that all of us feel the same way. Like, I miss going and sharing that energy.
Totally.
And let's not forget, we're in kind of an urban bubble, and we're lucky in that we do have indie theaters and we have different choices. There are a lot of places in the country where AMC is the only game in town, literally. Right. And AMC might even be the only thing that a town has that passes as an art house, where they'll have one screen where they'll show something like Emma, which we don't necessarily, for us, isn't necessarily an art house movie, but in other places of the country that has fewer screens and they're more starved for that kind of material. Like, even just to get what we would sort of think of as like a middle-brow Oscar movie, that's like a title that they're only going to get because that AMC that has 10 screens is going to devote one, right, to a smaller kind of indie or whatever. So if AMC does go under, that's bad for a lot of the country, because I'm sure they're not exactly the Walmart of movies, but I bet you there are areas where they are literally the only game in town.
And back to your Tiger King point, Matt, and we can discuss this more on our Patreon when we do episodes 4 through 7. I suspect that Tiger King would have been something that people talked about, but it wouldn't have been the massive phenomenon that it is if we were all stuck in our home simultaneously to watch it. Like, that was like a perfect storm of timing.
It's the Animal Crossing of television.
If they planned that perfectly and it happened to come out right when we were all stuck at home. Like, I think if we weren't, and that's like a thing that we can all connect about no matter where we are. Like, oh my God, have you seen Tiger King?
Yeah, even if you hate it, you still have to talk about it, because it's
right. Which kind of makes me think, like, what other lunatic shit is out there like that we're gonna get, like, right? Because I've been describing Tiger King,
right?
Like, I was talking to my mom. I've talked to some other people about Tiger King. Like, boy, you thought McMillions was full of knuckling, right? So what's the show that's next that we're gonna say, oh my God, we thought Tiger King was bonkers?
Yeah. What will the algorithm spit out for us that goes beyond, gay thruples and meth and country songs? Have you guys, really fast, have you guys heard of Zoom bombing? Have you heard about this totally despicable thing that's happening? So hopefully nobody will ever Zoom bomb us, but there's a big story in the New York Times today about like these concerted right-wing efforts to storm into mass Zoom groups and just disrupt them. Either with like propaganda or with like, there's this one group like dispersed this whole middle school list of addresses and like their schedule to go and like fuck with their middle school classes. The one that I found most despicable was people are Zoom bombing AA meetings.
Yes.
Like, maybe that's your only outlet to the world when you're, like trying to stay sober and you're just depressed and isolated, and like people are going in there with pictures of alcohol. And anyway, it's just, why does it occur to people?
So what sucks is, because I got this note last week, at the end of last week, about not sharing the addresses for the Zoom classroom that Gabe's been doing for some of his classes, because it went around for the whole school because something got out and somebody probably chimed in. And the thing is, there's been some news about how Zoom is not particularly secure unless you make it that way as a user, and so the classroom schedules, those classes get distributed around to the parents and the students. And, all it really takes is one student sharing something with one of his buddies who can then get in uninvited, right? And Zoom is working on changing some of that, but similar like with the AA meetings. And, those are going to be, like, those listings are going to be put up probably on an AA site, right? And
publicly,
right? Because people can't go to meetings right now. And, now look, like as anyone, having sat in on some of those meetings, like I can assure you there's plenty of people who will look in those meetings who will say like, oh, look, we've heard it all. Right. And if you're really looking for recovery, you're going to be able to get past that. And so let's not, I would say like, if that is something, my message, my minor message would be, if you are someone who is thinking about trying that out, go ahead and try it anyway, because that stuff tends to get addressed relatively quickly. I think people are Zoom bombing and they're assholes.
Yeah, I think events like this tend to bring out, you see people at their best and their worst. You see the people who are like reaching out to their elderly neighbors and like going to the grocery store for them and, running errands and stuff. And then you see like the woman who goes to Big Lots and buys all of the toilet paper, paper towels and napkins because no one's there to stop her. And, I think we're seeing the full spectrum. And so like, yeah, Zoom is bringing people together. It's providing a useful service for people on a personal level, on a therapeutic level, whatever else. And then it's also going to bring out like fucking assholes who are just fucking assholes because that's what they do,
I find it
Hold up, guys. No, I'm going to switch my stream to a bunch of porn so that
Please, it's about time. Can I tell you a sad story and then we'll go?
Okay.
Also, really fast, how are we all feeling? Are we all feeling okay today?
Yeah. Going to the grocery store tomorrow. Can't wait.
Do you have a mask since we're all going to start wearing masks now?
I do. Dave cut a section of an old sheet out and I'm going to look like an Old West bandit.
Okay.
So, I took a bandana the other day and it turns out I think I might have an allergy to whatever detergent we're using because I almost passed out. So
hand wash it and,
right. So, although, Jen won't let me wear that old gas mask that I wore in the video a few weeks ago. My vintage World War II gas mask, like
might be a tad de trop.
Yeah, no, you make new friends in the produce section. That sounds
exactly.
Like all right, I'm going to tell you a sad story, then we'll go.
Okay.
So I just found out that a guy I worked with at the AP many years ago, longtime tech editor at the AP, has died of COVID. He was at the AP for all 27 years of his professional career. He was a tech editor, sweetest guy. He was in incredible shape. He was a runner. He ran 83 marathons. He ran marathons on every single continent, including Antarctica. He did 15 New York City marathons, so many that he had automatic qualification for life. He was in top shape. He tested positive, stayed inside, did all the stuff he was supposed to do. He isolated. And then on Wednesday, started having some breathing issues, was admitted to the ER, and 13 hours later, he was dead. He was 51 years old. 51 years old in peak condition. It can get any of us. Yeah. It's stunning. I mean, I wasn't scared before, and now I am. It sucks. I'm going to cry.
It sucks.
I didn't even know him that well,
No, I know.
Now I'm fucking scared, you guys.
That's the worst part, I think, is that the circles are getting smaller. And like, I know this guy that you knew, sort of, and the longer this goes on, it's going to hit people in our family, people that we work with, people that are our close friends. And all we can do is what we're doing, which is we're isolating, we're flattening the curve, we're doing all that stuff. And, and
it is scary.
Some scary shit.
And the thing is, like, it is scary, and it's okay to be scared, right? It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel the grief that we're feeling. I mean, we talked about that last week. This is terrifying. Especially, not especially, it's terrifying, right? Like none of us have ever gone through anything like this. And, I would love to think that there's, that it's not going to last that long, but I don't know, and all I know is, at least for me, like all I can do is just try and make it to the end of the day and continue to stay safe and, cherish the opportunities that we have to talk to each other. Would it be much better if we could all be in person? Absolutely. But this is terrifying. And, look, the only thing that keeps me from crying is that you guys have caught me in a moment where I'm not super upset,
I haven't cried about it very much.
I'll tell you, I read the Adam Schlesinger news this week and burst into tears, which surprised me. Like, I think I own one Fountains of Wayne album, but I mean, just the fact that we're so close in age, and he's worked on all this stuff that I liked, and I just knew him as this sort of great kind of pop guy. It just hit me like a gut punch, and things just hit you every so often. And I'm really sorry about your coworker, Christy.
Yeah.
And
I think that what's incumbent upon us is to take everything that we're experiencing right now, and when we can be out in the world again, to like carry it with us and do something about it, to do something with the society at large and with the world about how we deal with illness and how we provide healthcare for people and all the stuff that we're starting to have this real conversation about because we're fucking soaking in it, and do something with that. I hope we do.
I thank you for all of that. It's all upbeat and helpful. Yes. At some point, we'll have to review the documentary "Slay the Dragon" about gerrymandering.
Oof.
yeah.
That's how we'll make change in the world, by voting out all the assholes.
Look, so much of the stuff that I had to watch for this show this week, just like, you're bumming me out.
Yeah. Look, Christy, I and Alonso and everybody watching, like, I get it. I mean, knowing what the risk factors are, and like when it comes to like when they say, oh, people with history of breathing problems and people with heart problems, I'm like, oh, I don't want to read that shit because I've shared about my heart problem and I've shared about having asthma.
I'm not running no marathon.
Yeah, like
this guy was in perfect shape, you guys.
Exactly, I know. That's the horrifying part.
No,
he was
exactly.
our age. He was 51.
Right. No, it's terrifying, and as much as like, look, I wish I had some magic words to make us all feel better. Absolutely. Right. Like, and this is going to be rough for a while, it just is. And I'm hopeful that we all, as many of us can make it through this. And I hope that this gives us, I hope we make it through. That's all I'm going to say. Right. And, in the short term, like we're still getting together, and, and I read a lot of the feedback that from last week that people were happy we're doing this. And I know that we've been really happy that we've been, it's great to be able to see you guys at least this way. It's I probably, like a lot of us, I've been, this has helped me do a lot more of this with my family and other people I can't go see. But yeah, I'm just going out and doing stuff and seeing people and having fun, and and then hearing about losing people, like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
There's no way around it, right? Like, it fucking sucks. I mean, we joked about it a few weeks ago. This gets a 0 from me. Like, this whole, like, virus.
Both thumbs.
No one should thumbs. Like, what was everybody thinking? We should not have made this. No.
I hope that there are no shitty coronavirus scripts being written right now, but that there are.
Oh, there are. There are.
are.
And you know what? That's the thing. Like, okay, fine that there are. Like, hopefully we'll get some good change out of it. There'll be assholes coming out of this too. There always are. I mean, look, like in 2020, there's still people that deny the Holocaust. Like, there's, I mean,
and 9/11.
Right. Like, there's going to be assholes coming out of everything. Okay, but. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thanks.
Of the tech editor that you knew. And, I think at this point, like, as I shared last week, like, someone that I had known had gone not as well probably as you did, but
I didn't know this guy very well.
We're going to hear more about this, and it is going to get scary. It's going to get scarier probably.
I got family in Spain where they're weeks ahead of us on this thing. So I'm really always worried about them.
All right. Well, we should take it week by week, as you guys say. And for those of you guys watching and listening, thank you to all of you for sticking with us.
We appreciate hearing from you on Twitter, the feedback. It's been wonderful. And we hope everybody is, if you have the option to stay home, please stay home. If you are out there, delivering packages or working in the grocery store or manning the ER or any of that stuff, thank you for everything you do. Thank you for being out there and keeping us moving.
On a lighter note.
Yes.
Please. So I have the best idea.
Okay, what's your idea?
Because we're all supposed to keep 6 feet apart, right? Now is the time to bring back hoop skirts.
Oh, no, I've seen that discussion for
right?
Sure.
Like
on men as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Right? Like what is that, 9 feet around? Right? Like,
yeah, I mean, that's,
Right.
half and half. But yes, for sure.
Right. So like 3
Ours
feet
is
out
there.
on each side, right? So about 9 feet around, I guess it's going to come to, if I remember my circumference correctly. We should all wear hoop skirts.
And with the extra fabric you have, you can make a mask out of it.
Yes, that matches, of course.
All right. Sorry to be a downer, but thank you.
No, thank you
for watching and listening.
Please,
that with us.
you
Thank
don't
you
have
guys
to
for watching.
apologize for that, Christy.
Hang in there, you guys. See you next time.